Look, don't get me wrong, anybody should be able to pursue their passions and do what they want for their career. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with this YouTube channel. However, at this point now, I think we need to be honest with ourselves and acknowledge that there's a huge problem with influencers who are trying to get into game development. And I'm not trying to gatekeep game dev to only people who don't have a social media presence, but the issue is that when someone with a massive following gets involved with any project, every person working on it is inadvertently affected, whether it be good or bad. On one hand, if it works, the game gets a massive boost in marketing and popularity because of the audience that the influencer inherently brings with them. But on the other hand, when that same influencer gets into hot water or some controversy that might or might not have any relation to the game, it still gets bashed and lambasted just because it's connected to that person. And unfortunately, that project that multiple innocent people behind the scenes who never wanted the spotlight in the first place inevitably suffer the consequences and are dragged into the middle of all the drama against their will. It'd be one thing if only the person in question was negatively affected by their controversy, then that'd be fine. But the unfortunate truth is that due to how people act on the internet and how vindictive they are, literally everything and everyone is caught in the crossfire. One such example, and the whole reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place, is with Pirate Software and his game, Heartbound, which isn't doing so hot right now. For those of you who don't know, Heartbound is a small indie title developed by some random dude named Pirate Software. I don't know, I've never heard of him before. I think he used to work at Blizzard or something. Anyway, because of the recent controversy that he's gotten himself into, his game has also started receiving a deluge of negative reviews. The game was released into early access back in 2018, and it was actually received very positively by its audience for quite some time. For around the first 6 years of its lifespan, it was sitting around an overwhelmingly positive review score, mainly due to its growing popularity of Pirate Software himself. His growth absolutely catapulted Heartbound from a small, obscure indie title that had a tiny but loyal fanbase to now being the laughingstock of the internet. All because he completely destroyed his own image within the past 6 months. At first it started with some petty World of Warcraft drama, which to be honest I don't think that many people really cared about. However, what this situation really did was illuminate Pirate Software's true personality and how it was totally opposite from the wholesome coding nerd that he was posited as. It was then people started to really see him in a very different light. The illusion of the wholesome expert game dev was beginning to crack, and his true self was really starting to reveal itself. Then to really hammer in the nail in the coffin, he had a super bad take on the Stop Killing Games initiative, which just completely turned the whole entire internet against him. I mean, he was supposed to be the guy sticking up for consumer rights because he should know what the people feel as a supposed down-to-earth indie dev. Instead, he misinterpreted the initiative in a disingenuous way and lied to his community about what its intentions were. Not only that, he was just genuinely rude and insulting to people that disagreed with him, causing his entire online image to be tainted. And because of that, his game that used to be seen as the darling indie project is now the scarlet letter that hangs over his head. People are now dissecting and criticizing literally everything about it while giving it scathing reviews on Steam. Many people rightfully bashing the game for still being in early access after 8 long years, and many others pointing out the surprising lack of content. People even started comparing Heartbound to Yandere Simulator, another early access indie title that's been in development hell for over a decade now, which coincidentally is also tied to a person that's very disliked. And you can think whatever you want about these people, you can love them or hate them, but it's undeniable that their controversies have also negatively affected the people that worked on these games behind the scenes, because they weren't 100% completely done by one person. And those poor individuals involved usually have to end up stepping away or distancing themselves from that person in question. I know it must feel really awful to be the artist or music composer of Heartbound and have all of your hard work be completely trashed on social media because of something that you had nothing to do with. They were just completely innocent people who wanted to make an indie game pretty much anonymously. They would have never expected Pirate Software to crater their game in the way that he did. And this isn't the only time this situation happened with Pirate Software either, because there was another game that he ended up causing problems for due to his infamy online. You see, there's this one 2D Super Smash Bros. Inspired game made from a small indie studio called Rivals of Aether. It's basically furry Smash for the uninformed. And this game just recently had a sequel release that was developed in collaboration with an influencer-owned publisher called Off-Brand Games, which Pirate Software was also involved with as a co-owner. And for the most part, Rivals of Aether 2 was generally well received by its fanbase. That was until they learned that Pirate Software was associated with it, and because of that, it was absolutely torn to pieces. People were harassing the devs and review bombing the game just for involving themselves with him. It was so bad that Thor himself had to step away from Off-Brand Games altogether because his mere presence alone was an active detriment to the development team. Sure, they probably knew that collaborating with an org owned by a massive YouTuber was probably going to come with some negative side effects. However, none of them could ever predict the sheer amount of vitriol people had for him. They didn't know that his notoriety would be so massive that him just being there would cause all hell to break loose. Sure, maybe the whole situation might have brought in more eyes to the game overall, but they quickly learned that not all publicity was good publicity. And the saddest part about the Pirate Software hate is that the entire thing could have been prevented if he didn't have such a narcissistic personality. If he was just a bit more of a humble person that admitted fault, then all this drama would have gone under the bridge and people would have forgotten about it after about a week. Nobody really cared about the World of Warcraft drama, they only cared about his attitude and how he acted afterwards. And then with the Stop Killing Games take, all he had to do was move on. Yeah, sure, it was a god-awful opinion, but it would have gone away if he had just stated his opinion then moved on with it. The only reason why it came back to bite him in the ass was because he kept addressing the situation and kept doubling down on his opinions. Personally, I don't really hate the guy myself, I just think that he has a hard time not being arrogant or narcissistic. It's a really big character flaw that no one really noticed when he first started out as a small-time content creator. It was only until his channel exploded in popularity and he started to get a lot of recognition was where the ego came from, which then led him to conduct himself in the way that he does today, and now he can't even pursue game development with other studios anymore because of the wave of negativity that follows in his wake. It's really kinda sad to see, and I would feel bad for him, but he just makes it so hard to do that sometimes. As for the game though, I'm not really sure if it'll ever come out of early access at this point with the pace that he's going at. And the biggest thing about being a sort of internet celebrity or someone who is widely known is that the internet can be a fickle mistress. While yes, it is true you can get viral and create a massive loyal following from being a genuinely good person, the same is also true on the opposite side of the spectrum as well. If it seems like you're just an unpleasant person to be around, then the internet will make fun of you till the end of time. It's a double-edged sword that having your life tied to such an unpredictable variable such as the internet. And not only will it affect your life, but also the lives of the people around you as well. Whenever you do anything good or bad, people will be quick to let you know of your successes or wrongdoings. If you seem like a cool and humble guy who's relatable, then many individuals would be more willing to support your endeavors and listen to what you have to say. On the other hand though, if you're just generally an unlikable person with a huge ego, then the internet users will make it their life's mission to take you down by digging through everything that's related to you, including finding your home address, your place of employment, and even your loved ones. Everything that you've done in the past will be laid bare for all to see, and sometimes people have some really big skeletons in their closet. Like in Pirate Software's case, people are now investigating everything he's claimed under a fine microscope. His game development expertise, his game industry credentials, even his coding skills are put into question. There are even YouTube channels that are making a career farming views off of his downfall. And all of this started because he refused to say sorry for a mistake he made in a video game. If that's not the most hilarious and depressing way to kill your image, then I don't know what is. And while most studios would love to have a famous social media influencer backing their project, that doesn't always guarantee success for it because at the end of the day, nobody can really sell your game for you. Sure, influencers may initially provide an audience to the game, but after that, it's up to the game itself to retain those players in the long run. And the harsh reality is that sometimes that just doesn't happen, like with Shroud and what happened to Spectre's Divide. He was a major face of the game, giving it so much free exposure to his millions of followers, all for it to ultimately crash and burn. This title was another tactical first-person shooter very similar to Valorant and CSGO. But unfortunately, this title failed to retain a sizable player base because it simply just didn't play as well as its competitors. And because of that, the population rapidly declined to the point where the studio themselves had to shut down entirely. Even Shroud himself, with his large social media following, was not able to save this game from end of service. Which isn't really his fault, to be fair, but it's a bad look when you're backing a project that isn't doing so well. Anyways, don't get me wrong though, it's not like I hate everybody with a social media following trying to get into game development. In fact, I think it's great. More power to them if they want to get into it. And thankfully, most of them haven't had any controversies, which allowed their projects to prosper from all the free marketing they got. It's just that as easily as you can become beloved, you can also just as easily become hated. Or even worse, a lolcow used to farm infinite content off of because everything you do just digs you deeper and deeper into a hole. But that's just me. What do you think about all this? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more content in the future. See ya.